Have you ever caught yourself thinking, not just once, but repeatedly, I just want to do nothing? Not like a passing thought, not like a complaint after a long day, but like a quiet, persistent whisper inside your head. Subtle, yet strangely convincing. Have you ever asked yourself what that really means? Because maybe it's not about wanting less. Maybe it's about wanting something else, something that doesn't demand explanation. You wake up, check your phone, maybe check your to-do list, maybe check out altogether. You get through the day, responsibly, even efficiently. You cross things off, answer messages, smile when you're supposed to, and yet, somewhere in between tasks, there's this strange craving, not for food, not for sleep, but for a blank space, an empty room in your day where nothing has to happen, where no one needs anything from you, where even you don't need anything from yourself. Why is that so rare? Let me ask you this. When was the last time you sat alone in a room and didn't reach for your phone? Didn't feel the urge to be useful? Didn't feel slightly guilty for just being still? Doing nothing has become a kind of rebellion, not against society, against expectation. You know that feeling when you finished everything you had to do, but you still can't relax, like your nervous system forgot how to idle, like your mind is still sprinting even though the race is over. So, what are we running from? Maybe the reason we crave nothing isn't because we're lazy. Maybe it's because we've spent so long being too much of everything else, too available, too responsive, too planned, too productive. What if this desire to do nothing is not a lack of ambition, but a kind of wisdom, a subtle form of self-protection that shows up when you're about to cross an invisible line, the line between being active and being consumed? Let's slow it down for a moment. Can you remember a time when you were a kid and you stared out of the window for minutes, maybe hours, without doing anything? Maybe you were just watching clouds or shadows moving across the room, and no one questioned it. Now, fast forward. Try doing that as an adult. What happens? Guilt, restlessness, that itch to get back to something? We treat stillness like a glitch in the system. But what if it's a feature we've forgotten how to use? Because think about it. Every living thing knows how to be still. Cats do it. Trees do it. Even rivers pause in their own way. But we, somehow, don't. And so we say, I just want to do nothing, not realizing that what we're actually asking for is a return, not a breakdown, but a quiet homecoming. Let's be honest. Doing nothing is hard, because as soon as you try, your brain throws a tantrum. You should be doing something. You're wasting time. Everyone else is ahead of you. That voice, let's call it the manager, hates silence, because silence doesn't produce results. Silence doesn't impress anyone. Silence just is. And for some of us, that's terrifying. But maybe silence is where the real stuff lives. The things that can't be scheduled, like clarity, like softness, like healing. We don't get that by pushing through. We get that by stopping long enough to feel it. So here's the paradox. Doing nothing is often the most active thing you can do for your inner world. It's where your nervous system recalibrates, where your identity can breathe, where the performance ends and presence begins. But we've built lives that are so crammed with doing, we don't even know how to be anymore. So what does that mean? That we're doomed to burnout? That rest has to be earned like a paycheck? Or can we unlearn some of that noise? Let me ask you this. Have you ever finished a day where you did absolutely nothing and instead of feeling refreshed, you felt ashamed? Why? Because you weren't useful? Because you couldn't track your worth in checkboxes? Because the world moved on without you? Here's a gentle reality check. The world will always move. But your inner world doesn't have to spin just to keep up. Stillness isn't about stopping the world. It's about stepping outside of its momentum, just long enough to remember who you are without all of it. Let's zoom in on that moment, the moment you finally sit down. No podcast, no notifications, just you. And there it is, the uncomfortable, twitchy silence, the temptation to get up again. Stay there just a little longer, because under the discomfort, something else begins to emerge. Space, softness, maybe even a small voice you haven't heard in years. Not a task, not a goal, just a whisper. You're okay. even now. That's not nothing. That's medicine. Sometimes we crave nothing not because we want to disappear, but because we want to reappear authentically, without performance, without expectation, without the mask. So, the next time you hear yourself say, "I just want to do nothing," don't treat it like a flaw to fix. Treat it like a message. Your soul may be trying to tell you something it can't say with words. And maybe, just maybe, doing nothing is how we finally hear it. Let me ask you one last thing. What if the version of you that emerges after doing nothing is actually the most honest version? Would you be willing to meet them? Let me know below. What does doing nothing look like in your world? And when you finally stop, what do you notice that you couldn't hear before?